Every entrepreneur thinks they have a time problem, but you don't. You really have a clarity or a priority problem. And in this video, we're going to look at the 5 things you absolutely must stop doing to realign your business, your life, and your calendar so you can have more time to take care of you and focus on what truly matters. An overcommitted calendar isn't actually your problem. It's likely a symptom of one of these 5 things to stop doing. Number 1, saying yes when you really need to get better at saying no. What I found with a lot of the clients that I've worked with is a lot of them are people pleasers. And I get it because so am I if I'm not careful. And underneath the fear of saying no is actually the fear of letting others down. I found that a lot of entrepreneurs aren't good at being with the uncomfortable feeling of telling people no because they don't want to let them down. So maybe you're in a meeting and there's specific action steps that are assigned to you and it's going to require a lot of back-end work. Instead of just saying, yep, I can get that to you, give yourself a moment to actually pause and examine what was just said and what you're about to commit to and ask, does this actually need to get done? Does it need to get done by me? Is there a simpler way for it to get done? Or a place where this shows a lot up for me is, say my husband and I will be invited to certain things, business events or certain gatherings. And in that moment, I want to actually people please and want to say yes to the person because I don't want to feel like I'm letting them down. And I've trained myself to actually pause. And if I'm not sure in that moment, I say, oh my gosh, thank you so much for thinking of me, or thank you for this invitation. Can I get back to you on this? And sometimes I just need a little bit of time to actually clarify, is this a true yes? And is it aligned to my priorities? Or is it going to be better for me to say no? So it was 2018 and my now husband and I sat down, we're both entrepreneurs, and we decided we were going to sync our calendars for the next 6 months. And I pull up my calendar and I look at how stacked it is with events and client work and travel. And suddenly there's tears rolling down my face and I feel this overwhelming anxiety of looking at my calendar. And I'm running a very successful copywriting agency at the time where on the outside it looked great, but inside I felt so trapped because I was like, where am I going to find any time for me? And it reminded me of this quote from Dan Sullivan. It says, an entrepreneur too tightly scheduled cannot be transformed. And so I realized that my calendar wasn't the problem. I was, because I was allowing others to take up that time because I didn't have a plan. And I made the decision that I needed to be better. Number 2 is you have too many priorities. When we have too many priorities, we actually don't have priorities. The root word of priority means one, choosing one path. If you have too many goals that you're pursuing all at once, it's actually wishful thinking. What I found in helping thousands of entrepreneurs is vagueness kills momentum. You want to ask yourself, what are truly your highest 1, 2, 3 priorities in life, max, in this season that you're in, and specifically in what order? Meaning what bows down to what? For example, maybe your health and your business are both high priorities on your list, but at the end of the day, in those moments where maybe both of them are challenging each other, which one is going to bow down to what? Or maybe you say family is a priority, but does your calendar and your checkbook actually reflect that? And in those moments of challenge, say where your business competes with your family, which one bows down to which? So I believe it's actually really important for us to get clear of which areas are highest priority to me in what order, because you can do many things, but you can't do them all at once. One of the things that I've found works really well for me is I then pour those priorities into my calendar. So for example, health is one of my top priorities, so it does go into my calendar first, and I protect those times. When it comes to my business, the first 2 hours of every day is blocked for me to prioritize the needle moving activities that are actually going to drive my business forward. I don't book meetings during those times because I mainly feel like those meetings are usually entertaining other people's agenda not the agenda and priorities for my own life. So really look at what are your top 1, 2, 3 priorities max in this season of life, and be okay with being fiercely protective over those when it comes to what you pour in your calendar. Number 3 is context switching. So research on attention actually shows that every time that you context switch, it can take over 20 minutes of your brain to fully re-engage back. So context switching means from going from one task to another task. If you're in the middle of mapping out a strategy for your marketing, and then you decide to go and check your email and then come back to this project, research shows that it can take up to 20 minutes for your brain to actually re-engage back. This is where so much time is lost for entrepreneurs. So if your calendar is fragmented, where you're jumping from thing to thing to thing, then what you may not realize is you're actually paying the cost all day long. So say you context switch even modestly, say 10 times a day, and it takes about that 20 minutes to fully refocus each time. 10 switches times 20 minutes equals 200 minutes. That's roughly 3.3 hours lost of deep, high value focus time every day. 3 times 5, that's 15 hours a week right there that you are giving up by switching your attention. And so what do you want to do instead? You want to map out your calendar so that your focus times can be uninterrupted. And I know that this is so hard for me to do, honestly, as well, of turning my phone on airplane mode, closing down my email, and allowing myself to be focused for a 90-minute or a 2-hour chunk of time to get the project done. You're gonna notice uncomfortable feelings come up because that's what happens when we do really important, high priority work. And so it's a matter of actually being okay with those uncomfortable feelings and not grabbing the vice, the phone or email, to dissipate the emotion. So you just wanna breathe through it and refocus. Hey, by the way, if you're new here, I'm Jennifer Hudye Moscow. I've built 3 7-figure businesses before 30. I've helped thousands of 7 to 9-figure founders over the last decade across all different businesses, including working with top thought leaders like Tony Robbins, Dan Martell, Joe Polish, JJ Virgin, Dave Asbury, and many others. And I now help entrepreneurs design a life and a business by design. Early 20s, I heard this interview done by Richard Branson and Joe Polish. Joe Polish was interviewing Richard Branson, who built Virgin Records and is a billionaire. And he said, "Richard, when's the last time that you did your laundry?" And Richard thought back and he's like, "I don't think I've ever done my laundry." And he's like, "What do you mean? Did you do it, in your teens or in your 20s? And he said, "No. When I was a young kid, my mother did my laundry. And then as soon as I became an entrepreneur, it was one of the first things that I outsourced." I remember listening to that, and I was in my early 20s at the time. I was bootstrapping my tiny little business, and I had no business hiring anyone at that time for how much money I was making, which was not much. But there was something that rang so true in that interview that I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna hire someone to do my laundry. I ended up hiring a personal assistant to come in about 10 hours a week, my early 20s, and would do my laundry and meal prep and all, tidy up, grab my groceries, do some errands. And that $15 an hour bought me back that time for me to focus on sales and build my business. And it felt really stretchy and really uncomfortable at the time, but it was one of the best decisions that I could have ever made because I bought back that time to actually focus on revenue generating activities. So look at the areas in your life right now, personally and in your business, and make a list of the $15 tasks that I'm currently doing consistently every week, and who can I hire to get that time back to actually move the needle forward in my business and my life. And hey, maybe even buying that time back is just so you can get 2 hours with your spouse per night. And that quality time is worth more than the both of you doing house chores. So this is something that's so important to think about as entrepreneurs. And finally, number 5 is you want to build the habit of when you are on, you are on. And when you are off, you are off. Meaning when you are working, you are fully working, present, moving the needle forward. And when you are off, you are allowing yourself to rest, to play, to enjoy. Because here's the thing, as an entrepreneur, we grow and we get results based on efficiency and results, not the number of hours that we work. And so if you are half working during on time or half working during off time, or you're half resting during your work blocks, you're never fully on. And I learned this lesson years ago when I had done a really big work sprint and I had booked myself to go to this weekend meditation retreat for my birthday. And I thought that it was going to be a good idea to book a couple sales calls while I was at the meditation retreat. And I remember I was sitting in this dome with a group of people. We couldn't wear watches because we were supposed to be in the generous present moment. And I am sitting there in meditation and all I can keep thinking is, I'm going to miss my sales call. I'm going to miss my sales call. I'm going to miss my sales call. And I was so nervous about missing the sales call and getting tripped up on time that I felt so uncomfortable that I got up, I left, I walked outside. I realized that I was 30 minutes before the sales call and I didn't want to go back in and be disruptive. Standing outside in this parking lot waiting for the call, and then I end up calling the person and they no-show. And I remember being so upset, but more than anything, I was upset at myself. And I remember hearing this kind of idea come to my mind, which was, if you're two places at once, you're nowhere. And that was a really important lesson for me, to make sure that when I am fully present in work, I'm working. And when I'm not, I'm not. And studies have actually shown that people who fully disconnect during non-work time actually have higher energy, better focus, and stronger performance the next day. So if there's any part of you feeling a bit of guilt for not being on, that's actually the piece to look at. And if you look at the highest performing athletes, they have rest time, they have recover time. And as an entrepreneur, you need to view yourself as that high performing athlete that does the same. Also, people who stay mentally on call all the time experience higher fatigue, lower engagement, and slower cognitive processing time. So your action step is just to start by focusing on one of these. Which one can you take and implement into action in the next 24 hours? All right, my friend, if you found this video useful to you, go ahead and click the like button right there. Tap on the subscribe button so you can get more videos like this delivered to you. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video.